know that people used to buy runes for Elden Ring with real money, Tarnished?
What?
Yeah, it's as lame as it sounds. For those little raviolis that don't know, Elden Ring's currency is called runes, and it's used to buy pretty much almost all of the items, spells, and things available in the game's multiple shops, with a few exceptions like the Dragon Altar shops. But most importantly, runes are used to level up. You spend those precious runes increasing your stats in order to be able to use new weapons, new spells, or simply to become stronger. You obtain runes by slaying enemies, selling items in shops, or using special items. The catch, though, is that you hold onto these runes until you either spend them somewhere or die. When you die, the runes you were holding onto are left in a post near the location where you died. You then can return to the place where you died and pick them back up, assuming that you don't die on your way back, of course, because if that's the case, you'll lose those runes forever. This system has been in place since the beginning of Souls games' history, and it works wonders, giving the player a second chance, but penalizing them for screwing up. Sadly, even this benevolent system wasn't enough for some really desperate individuals, gamers who basically turned dying into an Olympic sport.
Yo, what's going on? Why am I healing? Oh my god! Stupid game.
They just could not progress the game because they would keep losing runes over and over, so they needed another way of obtaining runes. A way that also involved the most minimal effort possible. And where there's a demand, there's an offer. People started selling runes online, a practice that still has clients up to these days, almost 2 years after the game's launch. But of course, blowing up Daddy's credit card just because Margit was kicking your ass a bit too much was something that a good chunk of the 40-year-old virgins wanting to buy runes couldn't afford to do. So there had to be a free alternative to get runes, something that required even less effort than buying them, something that would also leave them hands-free. Enter the AFK farming method. I am pretty sure that you may have heard the term before, mostly because Waifu made a small video guide on how to counter the AFK farmers in Lena's Rise, although not many people were familiar with the concept in the comments. So what is an AFK farmer then? Let's start with the basics first. But before we jump into the video, the mystery weapon of our last video was the Albinoric bow. Congratulations to the winners that answered correctly. Stay tuned until the end to play another game of Mystery Weapon. In Elden Ring, you can get invaded by other gamers when under certain conditions. When you get invaded, you have to defeat the invader before they spank you back to the site of grace. If you manage to beat them, you'll get a couple of items and runes as a reward. Very simple up to now, right? Well, here's the thing. At any point during the invasion, an invader can use an item called Finger Severa to disconnect themselves from your world and leave. If an invader does this in your world, you will be awarded runes. A bit odd if you ask me, because if a blue hunter leaves the same way, the invader does not get runes nor flasks. But I digress. The reason why an invader may leave, of course, depends on the situation. But what if you found a way to force them to leave every time without doing anything during the invasion? It would be a good source of runes, right? Well, that's what these subhumans were thinking of when they discovered that you can place yourself in spots only reachable by using Torrent, use the Taunter's tongue to lure in invaders, and sit down and wait until they get bored trying to find you or reach you and leave, giving you runes in the process. That is what is known as AFK farming, and they were an absolute plague in the earliest days of Elden Ring. As an invader, 7 out of 10 invasions would be entering the world of a drooling witch fetus rooted in some unreachable corner of the map, summoning blue hunters to do the heavy lifting for them while they sit in the same place doing nothing. And that was basically the point. They would just leave their character there and go do something else, not touching grass, mind you. And since most invaders at the time were not geared enough to be able to deal with these parasites of society, they were forced to leave and give them their runes, which is usually a very low amount of runes for the trouble, mind you. Runes obtained by the defeated invader are calculated based on a percentage of the runes the invader needs to level up, not on the amounts of runes the invader holds, as some people tend to believe. So a level 125 invader, which is the most common level to get invaded at, will give you a maximum of 15,000 runes. To put you in perspective, defeating these 4 losers near the prayer room site of grace in the Halig Tree awards you with 9,500 runes. Running this very little gauntlet twice already gives you more runes than an invader in certainly much less time. And if you somehow manage to die against these enemies, you just run back to your runes and pick them up. At level 125, you will have no issues dealing with these guys either. And this is not even taking into consideration better methods of farming runes, such as the Albinoric genocide.
Woo! Yeah, baby!
So not only was AFK farming a very unreliable and inefficient way of obtaining runes, it was also quite possible for you to die regardless. Because some invaders quickly realized what was going on and started devising methods of reaching these unreachable goobers, be it either by using projectiles or by using some weird glitch to be able to reach those spots. So not only was this method completely inefficient, but you could also set up your spot, go to sleep, and wake up with nothing because you got caught in the act of being a pasta container. And you want to know what the saddest part of the whole ordeal was? Sometimes the supposed AFK farmer was not even AFK. This completely defeats the purpose. What are you doing, my man? Jerking off to Reddit with your controller up your butt, so you know when it vibrates you have to return to the game to not die. What even is your idea? Is this supposed to be one of those silly haha troll moments? The only thing you'll manage is people blocking you and then you'll have no one to play with, you goofball. And if you're doing this as a legit way of trying to get runes, then I'm very sorry, but you're an idiot. Look, I know I'm moulding here. Methods of obtaining game currency passively have existed before in games like Final Fantasy XII, where there's a way to farm experience without playing, so you can go to sleep while leaving your console on all night. But Final Fantasy XII was a single-player game, and one can do with a single-player experience whatever they want. But an AFK farmer in Elden Ring is exploiting a loophole in the multiplayer to either grief or self-benefit, albeit a very stupid one. So it's no longer a case of let them do whatever they want with their game, because they're also interfering with other people's experience, both invaders and hunters. Over the course of months, the amount of AFK farmers has severely decreased, but that was bound to happen. Legit AFK farmers probably don't play the game anymore, because let's face it, they were those kind of players, and griefers were probably blocked by everyone. I wouldn't be surprised if they see a return in the DLC though, but the community is armed enough already to be able to deal with them, or at least with the ones you can deal with. So in the event that you run into an AFK farmer, do not waste a single second. If victory is guaranteed, try to get them. If you can't get them, just leave their world and block them. It's not worth your time. Let them rot surrounded by their own piss jars and excrement. It's secret weapon time! Judging by the stats alone, what weapon is this? Leave your answers in the comments below, and the winners will be featured in the next video. And if you enjoyed this one, feel free to leave a like, a comment, and share it with friends. Consider subscribing to OnlyWaifu for more videos like this. Don't forget to brush your teeth before bed. And as always, thanks for watching.